All right, 1.1, apply properties of real numbers.
So these being posted to Google Classroom.
Yesterday, 8th grade was like, so you're like a YouTuber? And I was like, no, yes, I don't.
She's a YouTube fan.
I was like, these just go out there. I was like, I'm not like a YouTuber.
She's
Like, I have like 13 followers, guys. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh my God, we're breaking that number up.
She's math teacher slash YouTube slash volleyball slash farming.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Anyways,
That doesn't mean there's
it was
no-
just,
you're one of them.
you know, 8th grade. It was fine.
He doesn't drop anything.
Okay. First problems say to identify the property that the statement illustrates. So it's going to give you a problem and you're just going to say what property it is. So number 12, 15 times 1 is equal to 15. What property is that?
Identity.
I don't know. Multiple.
Identity property of multiplication.
Yes. We have to write these down. We already have them written down. No, we don't. We don't. Hello. Do we have to write down these problems?
I don't require you to write down anything, but I highly recommend you write stuff down because when you come ask me a question, I'm going to say, go look at your examples that I did for you in class.
Oh, I have them here.
So, yesterday, again, 8th grade, they weren't writing down anything. And I literally looked at them and I was like, nobody's going to take notes and write down what I'm putting on the board. And they were like, you're doing notes? I was like, this isn't for me. It was fine. It was fine. It's going to be a learning process. I was like, guys, this is a high school class. Get your act together. All right, 16. Same instructions. In parentheses, 6 times 5, close parentheses, times 7 is equal to 6 times, in parentheses, 5 times 7. What property is this?
Associative
Associative property of multiplication. And I obviously don't care if you abbreviate things, just be careful when you abbreviate things. That's what I'm going to say. All right, so now we're going to be given a problem, and it's going to give us something on the left, and it's going to give us like an ultimate, like on the right, what it's supposed to look like. We don't change the right side stays the same the whole way down, and we're going to say at each step what property we're using. Now, this always is everyone's least favorite section and least favorite problems the entire year because they hate having to explain why you do stuff. It's like geometry. But this is literally the only section that you have to do this for. So just bear with it, and then after that, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Oh, is it like the postulates where you have to say which ones you use and stuff?
It's like when you did a proof where you like
No. Proofing sucks.
you like explain something, why? Explain something, why? It's like that. So 18 is 15 times, in parentheses, 3 divided by b, close parentheses, is equal to 45 divided by b. So again, I'm just going to write this on here. Leave the right side alone. Also, if I ever use a color that you like can't see, just let me know, because sometimes a color that I think looks okay on my screen, once it's up there, doesn't. Can't see it, huh?
Do we have any colorblind people at this school?
Yes.
I am sure there's some.
I always wondered how that works.
I'm slightly colorblind in my right eye.
Really?
Like just a tiny bit.
I don't know. I'm not colorblind. It took me a really long time to understand how that was even a thing.
I'm just
But.
blind.
Okay, so the first step, okay, and things have to be done in a certain way or they're not correct. Okay, now I'm not saying that there's not like sometimes multiple ways that it can be done, but sometimes people just like to jump and say move the parentheses to the 15 times the 3 and leave the divided by b over where it is. That's not something mathematically that we can do. We don't have an associative property of division. So I need to first and foremost rewrite the 3 divided by b as 3 times 1 over b. Okay, that's the first step. So 15 times, in parentheses, 3 times 1 over b. And this is probably not one that you actually had written in your notes, but that's just the definition of division. And so the reason for that is definition of division. And I often will abbreviate definition as either DEF or DEF with the little n. It's just the way that all my teachers always did it. So if you want to write it out, that's fine. If you want to abbreviate it, that's fine too. So now everything is being multiplied. So what do you think my next step might be?
Multiply 15 times 3, and then
Can't do that yet.
First, you have to do with the parentheses.
oh, 45.
Yep, move.
Huh?
I need to shift the parentheses over. Okay, so I need to do it as 15 times 3 in parentheses times 1 over b. That's why I said it's everyone's least favorite, 'cause people like to skip steps.
Yes.
So what allows me to do that?
The associative or the associative property of multiplication.
Yep, associative property of multiplication.
Me too.
Now what do I do?
Multiply 15 times 3.
Yep, so that's going to give me 45 times 1 over b. What allowed me to do that?
Multiplication. And
Yep,
Definition.
short and sweet, multiplication. And I can't spell. Okay. Now what?
Then we incorporate 45 divided by b.
I'll put 45 over b.
So I want it to look like the right, so my next step is just going to be 45 divided by b. Any idea what my reason is?
No.
The definition of division.
Yep, definition of division. And then you would be done.
45 divided by b equals 45 divided by b. It's just a true statement.
You're just showing why you're allowed to do things in math in this section.
Just
Yeah.
the reciprocal.
Yes.
Okay.
Because technically, division isn't something you do in math. You multiply by the reciprocal. But
Isn't the reciprocal just something like 1 divided by the number itself anyways? You
Yes.
have to use division.
but technically in math we only have addition and multiplication.
So
Subtraction and division are not technically real things. We're adding an inverse, which is subtracting, or we're multiplying by a reciprocal, which is division.
But isn't
So why did I dedicate so much homework and time to division and subtraction?
We went through 10 grades.
Because you
in
still
school.
use it. It's just not
It's not
mathematically
real.
technically a thing.
So
Yeah, why did we
teach
just
us-
learn this?
You know, it's fake math for years.
what I
Yeah.
mean is it's multiplication of the reciprocal, but the reciprocal means 1 divided by b anyways, which
It's technically 1 over. We just use a fraction bar as division, but it's not technically.
You're hurting my brain.
That's, like I said, this section is always everyone's like least favorite, like out of everything the entire year. But we get it out of the way early, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't even give you that many problems to do with this stuff because I just want you to be able to do like a basic problem. That's all I want.
I'm dead serious. She gave us a final agreement.
22.
Like word for word.
Yeah.
12b plus 15 in parentheses minus 3b equals 15 plus 9b.
Use a different letter.
I don't care.
I can't write B.
Like, as a general rule, as long as you use the same variable all the way through, I don't really care. I usually use x. I'm just doing this because that's what the problem says. So, like, when we get to trig, like, some people prefer x, some people prefer theta. I don't care as long as you're consistent. If the problem says theta, but you're like, I don't like theta, I like x, use x. I don't care. All right. What do we think my first step is? I gotta leave the right side alone. So what do I do on the left?
Get rid of the 3b. Make it plus negative 3. You can't do that.
Yes.
The right side subtraction wasn't real.
Well, what do you mean? You said plus negative 3b, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that is what I need to do.
Oh, you're stupid, Ryan.
Hold on.
12b plus 15 in parentheses plus, in parentheses, negative 3b. I'm adding the inverse. That is the definition of subtraction.
So smart. No, you're not.
Now what do I do?
Should probably do one.
Can't we just take the parentheses off of something, like, out of the first one?
Would it be grouping? So associative property of addition? No.
What is regrouping gonna help me with?
Combining like terms.
You,
Couldn't you?
yeah.
Can't do that yet. What other properties do we have? It's one we haven't used yet. Yes.
Yes, commutative. I'm sorry.
I need to swap 12b and 15 in the parentheses. So it's going to be 15 plus 12b plus negative 3b. And that is the commutative property of addition. And a lot of times I'll just do a little plus sign or an X for multiplication, but plus sign for addition. So if you want to do that to, again, shorten it, that's fine. Now, Zach, what do I do? That's what you tried to get me to do last time.
Grouping. So associative property of addition.
Yep, so I'm going to regroup. So I'm going to do the 15 plus, and then 12b plus negative 3b in this one. And that's associative property of addition. Now what?
Combine like terms.
Yep, combine like terms. So 15 plus 9b, and the reason is literally just combine like terms. All right, now I want you to take a couple minutes and try 19 on your own and see how you do. It's in parentheses c minus 3, close parentheses, plus 3 equals c.
That's why you can get it right. I did get it right.
If you've done all the steps correctly, you should have 4 steps. What's my first step?
C minus 3. You have to get rid of the minus 3 and make it a plus -3. So you do
Definition of subtraction.
Yep. Then what?
Sound like you didn't have your time before.
and then you got to
Associative property of addition.
And what does that do?
Parentheses go over to negative 3 plus 3.
Yep.
And then,
combine like terms.
and that gives you.
So that's not technically the reason, but
Shoot.
Dang it, Ryan.
It's inverse property.
Inverse property addition.
yep,
Yeah.
inverse property of addition. And then what?
Identity of addition.
Yep, to give you C.
Yeah, I did that.
Oh, shoot, you're right.
I see your notes.
My notes. Why, you didn't take them?
No, for some reason I didn't finish it first. I just did it plus.
You didn't finish your notes.
I
That's
did.
what I heard. You just admitted to not doing them.
I did.
Just like word for word, you didn't finish.
Well, I have them all.
You said it again.
I don't have
That's a
2
confession.
letters. I need 2 letters.
All right, the next stuff in this section is solving problems and using unit analysis to check your work. So problem 28 says you buy 6 gallons of juice at $1.25 per gallon. Must have shopped at Aldi. What is your total cost? So I set this up. I have 6 gallons of juice. And I like to do the little conversion table. I think it makes it the easiest. At $1.25 per gallon. So the per gallon implies that that's on the bottom. So it is $1.25 per 1 gallon. So then as far as units, gallons cancel. And so then anything on the top I multiply, anything on the bottom I divide. So it's going to be 6 times $1.25. And what is that?
$7.50.
Yep, $7.50. And if stuff is money, make sure you pay attention to that and put,
So
whatever the dollars are and then 2 decimal places because money is always 2 decimal places.
why don't we do the tic-tac-toe thing? Why don't we just do 6?
That's what I did.
6 times 1.25 per gallon.
Because you're supposed to analyze your units. And so this is the way you do unit analysis, like you would do in science class. I mean, you don't have to show it that way, but that's the way I'm going to show it because when you get into stuff that is much lengthier, you're going to want to do it that way to ensure that your units are correct. All right, 30. You ride in a train for 175 miles at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. Everybody knows MPH is miles per hour, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. One class I had one time, I put that and they were like, what is that? And I was like, have y'all never driven down the road before? Anyways. How many hours does the trip take? So we go 175 miles. And I'm driving at 50 miles per hour. So, am I multiplying or dividing?
Dividing.
Dividing, because it's going to be 50 miles on the bottom per 1 hour. And again, I do it this way so that I can cancel out my units to ensure that everything is correct, so that I make sure that I do it and don't use the wrong conversion. So what's 175 divided by 50?
3.5.
Yep, 3.5 hours.
I'm a genius.
No, talking a little faster than that.
It's a train, though.
Perform the indicated operation. 34. 5 hours. Well, I can't spell. 5 hours, 2 minutes. How do I do that?
Multiply 5 hours by 60. 300.
300.
So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So the hours cancel. 5 times 60 is what? So 300 minutes.
When's the next section for next?
Tomorrow. Alright, last one. Convert the rate into the given units. So 42 tells us we have 6 feet per second. And they want us to convert that to miles per hour. So what do I need to do for that?
I didn't mean to say that.
What are we feet? It's like 5,000 something.
5,000.
So set seconds.
200
A kilometer per second.
We don't even know that.
Yeah, but it's
It's plus something. The feet online.
So 6.
my brain.
Why don't we convert it to hours first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
So if you do my tic-tac-toe board, you can do everything at once.
I'm doing
Tic-tac-toe. So we have the 6 feet here.
So you have 6 feet per 1 second. What's the conversion for feet to miles? It's from 3rd grade.
5,280.
Yep, 5,280
I
feet.
didn't know that.
Third grade
Wait,
was a
it's
long
in my,
time.
it's in my memory.
5,280 feet in 1 mile. So that's going to take care of feet. I have miles on top, which is good because I'm doing miles per hour, so I want to make sure that that's there.
Feet cancel out.
Yep, feet are going to cancel, which is good, which I usually analyze all that at the end, but I'm going step by step. How do I get from seconds to hours?
Multiply by 60.
Yeah.
Or would it be 600?
No, because seconds.
How many seconds are in an hour?
60.
Oh, 3,000.
A lot.
No,
60.
A lot.
3,600.
Because there's.
I already said
6
3,600, bro.
So if you don't know that off the top of your head,
1,200.
if you don't know the conversion off the top of your head, then I would go seconds to minutes, minutes to hours, because that's probably something that you do know. I hope you know that. If not, turn and look at a clock.
1,440.
No,
360, right?
Yes.
100?
no, 3,600.
What the heck?
So 60 seconds in 1 minute, and then there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, just because I feel like in high school you need to know this, there are 3,600 seconds in an hour. So, I already canceled feet. I'm left with miles. I'm going to cancel seconds, and then I can cancel minutes, and so I'm left with hours. And so then across the top, you'd multiply, and then you'd divide by the 5,280, and I'm just going to tell you so you don't have to, like, grab a calculator to multiply and divide all this. It ends up being 4.1 miles per hour.
That's, wow.
6 feet a second.
Depends on if you're running, that's really fast, but if you're driving, then obviously that's really slow.
4 miles per hour is fast for running.
So,
She said walk.
so you would.
Except
okay.
walking.
So you did
Walking,
60
running.
times 60.
If I did 4 miles in an hour, everybody better be impressed. that ain't happening.
So you do 60 times 60 over 5280.
Well, 6 times 60 times 60, and then divided by 5,280. So yeah, anything across the top is being multiplied. Anything with the bottom is being divided by whatever's on top.
This makes it a little bit more sense.
I think this is where my
I understand
knowledge-
Tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe.
All right, any questions? All right, then your problems to work on in class are, I always just write like HW for homework, but just know that it's really classwork. 13, 17, 21, 27, 35, 37, and 41. And when you are done with that, if you show it to me, I will let you work on the notes for 1.2, which are due tomorrow.
What page? Yeah. For the homework.
6 and 7.
Do these problems get turned in?
Yes.
Okay.
6.
I ordered a like a tray thing, kind of. Well, I was gonna say kind of like Miss Patton has, but it's not anything like that. But anyways, there's gonna be a tray that's over on that table over there, where you'll like actually turn it in, but it won't come in until like Thursday. So for now, you can just show it to me and I'll mark it off. But